If you've been confused about mic, line, and instrument levels with audio equipment, here's a very simple explanation to help you understand it. Are you ready? This is how simple we're going to think about this. Mic level equals quiet, line level equals loud. Seriously, that's it. For this video, that's all we're going to think about this. Mic level equals quiet, line level equals loud, and instrument level is somewhere in between. This video is not going to give you a mastering degree in audio engineering or anything like that. Instead, this video is meant to give you a starting point so you understand what these terms mean, how to use them, the problems that can arise if you misuse or mismatch these levels, and some cheap devices and pieces of gear that you can use to help problem solve if you do run into some of these problems. So I'm going to give you actual audio examples. I think that's going to be the easiest way to understand it, but let's just define a few things first. So something that outputs at a mic level, like this SM58 right here, is going to output at a very quiet level. Therefore, it needs to be turned up or boosted so that we can hear it. So when I plug in this mic level device into a mixer or an audio interface that is expecting a mic level signal, what it's going to do, it's going to boost that level so that we can hear it. It knows that this is quiet, therefore it's going to turn it up. And this is done with what's called a preamp. Now, a preamp does many different things, but for the sake of this video, the preamp is what's going to bring the level up. So line level devices like a phone or a tablet or a synth or something like that output at a much louder volume. They output at line level. So when you plug those line level devices into a mixer or an audio interface that is expecting a line level input, it assumes that the level is already loud enough, and therefore it doesn't need to be boosted much, if not at all, so it won't go through what the mic preamp does, where it has to turn the level up. And then instruments like guitar and bass, those output at instrument level. Instrument level is between mic and line level. They do not need to be boosted as much as mic level, and they are not as loud as line level. They fall in between. Again, audio examples are coming here in a minute. Problems can arise if you mismatch these. So the main problems that can happen with this is that something can be too quiet and you are not able to hear it, or something can be too loud and then brought up even more, which will cause clipping and distortion. So let's think about this. Plugging in a device that outputs at mic level into a device that is expecting an input of mic level is going to bring the volume up to a good level. If you have a device that is outputting at line level and plug that into a mixer that is expecting an input of line level, it's not going to add a bunch of unnecessary boost to that level. But if you plug a mic level signal into a line level input, it's not going to add that volume that you need in order to hear the mic. And if you plug a line level device into a mic input, it's going to boost that signal even more, which again will cause clipping or distortion. Let's do an actual example with audio because I think that will make it the easiest to understand. So this is the SM58 microphone. It outputs at mic level. It's going into my audio interface right now, which is set to a mic input, and therefore you can hear it. You can hear how the audio sounds. I'm doing this completely dry. This is not a tone test, get the best tone possible, it's just to show you that this does work. Now, what happens when I switch to line input? Here's how it sounds when I switch to line input. So you couldn't hear me at all. That's the problem that you can have if you run a mic level output into a line level input. So here, my phone is outputting at line level, and it is going into the line level input on my mixer. Okay, so what if I want to cheat it though? I can use this little adapter right here to go 1/4 inch into XLR. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a line level output like my phone into a mic in with the XLR here. I'm giving you headphone users a warning right now to turn down because you will see what happens when I do this. So I can minimize that distortion by turning the gain knob down, but if I try to add any gain to this, it just distorts almost immediately. Really quick side note, what is the difference between gain and volume or the fader? Think of it this way. Gain equals the input, volume or fader equals the output. So the gain will adjust the level of the signal that is going into the mixer, and the fader is going to determine the volume that is sent out of the mixer. Hopefully that's another simple explanation for you. But do you notice how much it boosts the signal when it goes into a mic level input and how much it does not boost the signal when you go into a line level input? Hopefully that makes sense and you see why you want to match them properly. So how do you know if your mixer or your audio interface has mic, line, or instrument levels? So some devices are going to have a way to switch between mic and line inputs. This is my Apollo Twin audio interface, and you can see I have this input button right here. So if I plugged in an XLR cable for a mic, I could push the button, set it to mic, and then adjust the gain accordingly. If I plugged in a line level signal, I would push this button, set it to line, and adjust the gain accordingly. What's really cool about this device, it has this 1/4-inch input on the front. It has the picture of the guitar. This is the high Z or instrument input, and you can see as soon as something is plugged into here, it automatically sets it to high Z, which is for instruments. Not every device is like this though. Many interfaces will have a dual jack that accepts XLR or 1/4-inch, and it's labeled mic/line. That usually means that when an XLR is connected, it'll be expecting mic level, and when 1/4-inch is connected, it's expecting line level. That's not always the case. It really just depends on your device. You will just have to look through your manual of the device that you're using. Some interfaces have a switch for instrument level or high Z or a picture of a guitar or something like that. You can see that this one has it clearly labeled. For channel 1, if you're sending a mic level, you would plug in here. If you're sending line level, you would plug in here. This one I found online, and this has all three. So if you plug in XLR, it's mic. If you plug in 1/4-inch, you have this button here to set it to either instrument high Z or to line input. You can see that many different mixers and audio interfaces have different markings for how they label mic, line, and instrument. You do just want to make sure that it is set correctly. If you're sending a mic level signal, you want to make sure it's going into the mic level, and so on and so forth. So with that BEHRINGER mixer that I used for the line level example, you can see it has a mic input and a line input. If I go to my digital mixer, this is the BEHRINGER XR18. This operates a little bit differently. So you can see it has 16 different inputs that are either XLR or 1/4-inch, and then you have 2 line inputs here at the end. Those last 2 are obvious, those are line inputs, but all these other ones can be either XLR or 1/4-inch. You'll notice actually the first 2 inputs actually are labeled high Z, so those will be instrument or high Z direct inputs for guitar and bass and stuff like that. This operates a little bit differently though. There's not really a switch to go from mic or line, but this actually makes a really good point. So this is all controlled digitally. I like controlling my BEHRINGER XR18 with the Mixing Station app. I think it's the best app for digital mixers. I have a whole video on that if you are interested. But this doesn't have a switch. It's basically just how much gain do you want to add to the signal. So when I plug in XLR into input 9, now watch how much gain I have to bring up in order to get it sounding at a good level. Mic check, 1, 2. Testing the mic. Mic check, 1, 2. Hey, hey. Testing the mic, 1, 2, check. Testing the mic, 1, 2, check, check, 1, 2. Testing the mic, check, check, 1, 2. Almost to 35 decibels up for mic level because it outputs very quiet. I'm going to reset the gain back to 0, and I'm going to plug in my phone, which outputs at line level. I'm going to plug it into the exact same input and watch how little gain I need to add to a line level signal.
I don't know. That's where my story ends.
You can't see the future.
Next.
So I barely need to bring the gain up on this. Just to about 5 seem to be about good. As far as just like gain staging, you just want to make sure that it's not clipping, that it's not too quiet. So usually when the meter reaches here, that's usually good. But I think that also shows you the difference between mic levels and line levels. See how much gain I needed to add to the microphone because it outputs at mic level? And you see how little gain I need to add to the phone because it outputs at line level. Hopefully that makes it a little more clear now. Okay, and last but not least, we have instrument level. So I'm going to go into that high Z input on my universal audio interface. This is the way it's supposed to be recorded if I'm recording direct. I am going to do the guitar completely direct, so there's going to be no processing or whatever because there are a few things that I want you to hear. So here's how it sounds recorded with high Z input. Here's how it sounds if I have it plugged into a line input. You notice how much the high end actually rolls off? That's something to do with impedance, which goes over the scope of this video. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible, but do just notice that high Z usually sounds better. Here's how it sounds if I go into a mic input. And then here's how it sounds if I go into a direct box, which then goes into the mic input. So the direct box is going to take the input and convert it into a mic level. Why might you want to do that? Well, the other reason is because it's going to take the unbalanced signal and convert it into a balanced signal. Not really what this video is about, but I will do a brief explanation as well. An unbalanced cable, like a TS cable, which is what you use for guitar and bass and instruments and stuff like that, is just the tip and the ring. And the problem with those is that they're much more noisy. With a balanced signal, which is either the XLR or a 1/4-inch cable that has a TRS connector, which can be seen with tip, ring, and sleeve, those are much less noisy. The problem is when I went from my guitar into a mic level input, I had to crank the volume up a ton in order to hear it. What also happens is all that noise comes up with it, and that's why it was such a noisy signal. But when I convert it to a balanced signal, it reduces the noise and makes it so that I can boost that signal without adding all of that noise into it, or at least having much less noise. And it is funny that the main reason that I'm making this video is because I have had a lot of questions show up in my comment section of, do I need a direct box? And that's actually basically the reason why I'm doing this video, is I wanted to explain a few things before I did my direct box video. So be sure to subscribe so you can see my direct box video when that comes out. So best practice is always just to use the correct matching inputs and outputs and stuff like that. However, there are devices that you can use in order to fix some of these problems. First of all, like I just mentioned, everything with a direct box, that's a great option. You also do have something called an attenuator. So I like this one by Hosa. This one's actually really cool. It has a switch right here, and you can switch it from 20 decibels, 30 decibels, or 40 decibels of quieter signals. So it'll attenuate or turn the signal down by a certain number of decibels. That can be great if you are clipping too much. Those are great options to turn the signal down. What if you need to boost a signal? There are preamps like the Cloud Lifter, and there's also the DM1. Those are devices that will add gain to a signal if you really need that, if a signal is too quiet and you need to boost it. With line level stuff, you shouldn't really need to do that in most situations. It's definitely possible though, but you can always get a headphone amplifier or something like that if you need to boost a 1/4-inch signal. Hopefully that's enough to help you out. I will have links down below to all of this stuff so you can check it out if these are some of the devices that you need for your setup personally. So I hope this helped you guys out. If you guys do have an understanding, you had the aha moment, well, during this video, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. It truly does help out the channel. I know YouTubers are obnoxious with how much they ask for like and subscribe and all that stuff, but it truly does feed the algorithm gods, and I would appreciate it if you found this video helpful. I do also have a video going over the differences between Bluetooth audio and wireless audio. Some people get those mixed up quite a bit, so you can check out that video by clicking up above or down below. And also on the end screen, I will post the video to the direct box video once that video is out. So if you see it on your end screen, it's out now. If not, don't forget to subscribe so you can see the video when it comes out. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.